The term evolution is used to describe heritable changes in one or more characteristics of a population of species from one generation to the other. Many theories have been proposed to explain the origin of life. Few of them are, first one is the theory of a special creation. Theory of special creation states that the life was created by a supernatural power. Supernatural power here is referred to as God. So according to Hinduism, Lord Brahma created the earth. According to Christian, Islam and most religions, they believe that God created the universe, plants and the animals. So the superior power, God, has created the earth. So this was the theory of special creation. The next theory is the theory of a spontaneous generation. It is also called as abiogenesis. Abiogenesis. A means absence of, bio means living, so non-living. So living organisms are originated from the non-living materials and occurred through stepwise chemical and molecular evolution over millions of years. So this theory was proposed, or this theory was coined by Thomas Huxley. So according to abiogenesis, the living organisms are originated from the non-living materials. The next theory is the Big Bang theory, which explains the origin of universe as a singular huge explosion in physical terms. Big Bang. So it is a huge explosion in physical terms. So the primitive earth had no proper atmosphere, but it has only helium and hydrogen. It consisted of ammonia, methane, hydrogen and water vapor. The climate of the earth was extremely high. Ultraviolet rays from the sun splits up the water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. So the ultraviolet rays that is emitted splits the water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen. Gradually the temperature cooled and the water vapor condensed to form rain. So rain filled all the depressions to form water bodies. Ammonia and methane in the atmosphere combine with oxygen to form carbon dioxide and other gases. How carbon dioxide and other gases are formed? Ammonia and methane combines with oxygen to form carbon dioxide and other gases. And the next theory is the theory of biogenesis. So according to the theory of biogenesis, that means life exists from the other living things. So life arose from the pre-existing life. The term biogenesis also refers to the biochemical process of production of living organisms. So living organisms are formed from other living organisms. So this is called the theory of biogenesis, and this term was coined by Henry Bastien. Next comes the theory of chemical evolution. According to this theory, the primitive organisms in the primordial environment of the earth evolved spontaneously from the inorganic substances. So organisms are formed from the inorganic substances and physical forces such as lightning, ultraviolet radiation and volcanic activities. There come two scientists, Oparin and Haldane. They suggested that the organic compounds could have undergone a series of reactions leading to a complex molecules. He proposed the molecules formed colloidal aggregates or conservates. So Oparin said that the molecules are combined to form a aggregate structure, colloidal aggregates in an aqueous environment. The conservates were able to absorb and assimilate organic compounds from the environment. Haldane in 1929 proposed the primordial sea served as a vast chemical laboratory powered by the solar energy. So this primordial sea was given by the Haldane. The atmosphere was oxygen free, and the combination of carbon dioxide, methane and ultraviolet radiation gives rise to the inorganic compounds. The sea became a hot dilute soup containing large population of organic monomers and polymers. Monomers means a single unit and the polymers means many units of these substances are combined. They invested that groups of monomers and polymers occurred, lipid membranes, and further developed into the first living cells. So these forms the first living cell. The Haldane coined the term prebiotic soup. Prebiotic soup is the term coined by Haldane, and this became the powerful symbol for the Oparin-Haldane view on the origin of life. Oparin and Haldane independently suggested that if the primitive atmosphere were reducing and if there was appropriate supply of energy such as lightning or ultraviolet light, then a wide range of organic compounds can be synthesized. So they suggested that with the help of lightning and ultraviolet radiations, organic compounds can be synthesized. Have you ever think about the age of our earth? How old is the earth? Yes, it is 4.6 billion years. That is 4 into 6 and 8 zeros. The zoological time scale, the duration of the earth history, has been divided into eras that include the Paleozoic, Mesozoic and Cenozoic eras. The time scale gives the whole history as eons, era, period and epochs. They have some interesting names. The Precambrian period starts when life first appears, as they are in very simple form of bacteria. It can be viewed only under microscope. In Precambrian period, the single-cell organisms and bacteria were the only animal found on the earth. The first multicellular organism appeared at the end of this Precambrian period. The Precambrian period ended about 514 million years ago. The multicellular organism may be the plants and animals. The next comes the Paleozoic era, which is characterized by abundance of fossils of marine invertebrates, and it's divided into 7 periods starting from Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous and Permian. And towards the latter half, the other vertebrates, marine and terrestrial, except the birds and mammals, were appeared. And this Paleozoic era is called as the age of invertebrates to the earliest reptiles or mammal-like reptiles. Extinction. Mass extinction at the end of the Permian period takes place. We don't know exactly what had happened, but 251 million years ago, 83% of life on Earth was wind up. Next era is the Mesozoic era, the dominance of reptiles called as the golden age of reptiles. Mesozoic era is called the golden age of reptiles and is divided into 3 periods, namely Triassic, Jurassic and Cretaceous. This Triassic origin of egg-laying mammals, and Jurassic is the dinosaurs, and the Cretaceous of toothed birds and dinosaurs, emergence of modern birds appeared. Here also extinction at the end of the Cretaceous period then comes. Extinction of dinosaurs and many other animals likewise happened in the Permian period also. This extinction wind up all the species, but luckily some mammals survived at the end of this Cretaceous extinction. The next era is the Cenozoic era, the age of mammals, and is divided into 2 periods, namely Tertiary and Quaternary. The Tertiary period is characterized by abundant mammalian fauna and is divided into 5 epochs. And this Tertiary period includes 66 to 2.6 million years ago. Then comes the Quaternary period where human arises. It begins from 2.6 million years ago. This quaternary period witnessed the decline of mammals and beginning of human social life. And this quaternary and the tertiary period belongs to the Cenozoic era, which is the age of mammals. The age of fossils can be determined using two methods, namely relative dating and absolute dating. What is relative dating? Relative dating is used to determine a fossil by comparing it to similar rocks and fossils of known age. Relative dating means comparing the fossil with the similar rocks or fossil. And the absolute dating is used to determine the precise age of a fossil by using radiometric dating to measure the decay of isotopes. So for absolute dating, we can use the radiometric isotopes, and whereas in relative dating, we can compare it with the similar rocks or fossils. So these are the two ways or methods to determine the age of fossil. It's an important 2-mark question. Next comes the biological evolution, that is the formation of protobions. Abiotically produced molecules can spontaneously self-assemble into droplets. Abiotically produced, that means the things which do not have life. Abiotically produced molecules can spontaneously self-assemble. They self-assemble into a droplet that enclose a variety or that enclose a watery solution and maintain a chemical environment different from that surrounding. So this abiotically produced molecule forms a watery solution. Okay, scientists call these pairs as protobions. So what are protobions? Protobions are the abiotically produced molecules which self-assemble into droplets that enclose a watery solution and maintain a chemical environment different from the surrounding. So liposomes or lipids in a solution that can self-assemble into lipid bilayer. Some of the proteins inside the liposomes acquire the properties of enzymes, resulting in fast multiplication of molecules. If you see the cell membrane, it consists of lipids and proteins. So the conservates with the nucleoprotein and nutrient had a limiting surface membrane that had the character of a virus or a free living genes. What is meant by conservates? Conservate is nothing but the aggregation of a substance with nucleoprotein and nutrients. It has a surface membrane which has the characteristics of a virus. Subsequently, number of genes united to form the protovirus. Somewhat it is similar to that of the present day viruses. Two major cell types have appeared during this time. So one is the Monera, another one is the Protista. One form of the earliest cell contains clumps means group of nucleoprotein embedded in a cell substance. Such cells were similar to that of Monera. The cell substance, that is the cytoplasm, and the nucleoprotein are embedded or added or closed. Okay, they are considered as a Monera. They are considered as the ancestral to the modern bacteria and the blue-green algae. The other form of the earliest cells contain a nucleoprotein clumps that condensed into the central mass surrounded by a thin membrane. Here, in the second part, the nucleoprotein is covered by a nuclear membrane. That means nucleus is separated from the cytoplasm. This membrane separated the nucleoprotein from the cell substances. Such cells were referred to as protista. So you can heard about prokaryotes and eukaryotes. In prokaryotes, the cells do not have a well-defined nucleus, that is called as Monera. Whereas in eukaryotes, the nucleus is well-defined. So it is called as protista. So two major cell types are appeared. When the natural sources of the food in the ocean is declined in course of time, the ancestor of this Monera and Protista had to evolve different methods for food procurement. That means in order to take the food, this Monera and Protista have to go for some other sources. They may be parasitism. They may live as a parasite or a saprophyte, a predator, or it can produce by itself. That means by the process of chemosynthesis and photosynthesis. When the number of photosynthetic organisms increased, there was an increase in the free oxygen in the sea and atmosphere. The atmospheric oxygen combined with methane and ammonia to form carbon dioxide and free nitrogen. You can see in this equation. The presence of free oxygen brought about the evolution of aerobic respiration. If the oxygen level increases, aerobic respiration is evolved, which could yield a large amount of energy by oxidation of foodstuffs. So what is the use of oxygen? It helpful for oxidation of a foodstuff to yield energy. Thus, prokaryotes and eukaryotes have evolved. Urey and Miller in 1953 paved way for understanding the possible synthesis of organic compounds that led to the appearance of living organisms. The temperature of the primitive earth was so high and the atoms combined with one another. Oxygen did not occur in free state. As time passed by, the steam condensed to form water and it gives the rain. Oparin and Haldane gives independent suggested that if the primitive atmosphere reducing and if there was an appropriate source of energy such as lightning, there is a wide range of organic compound can be synthesized. So this is the Urey-Miller experiment with a cooling jacket, water in, water out, and it is the water which produces steam, and this is the vacuum pump, and this is a flask which helps to analyze the sample. So a small flask was kept boiling and the steam emanating from it was made to mix with the mixture of gases. The mixture of gases contained ammonia, methane and hydrogen in a large chamber that was connected to the boiling water. The steam condensed to form water which ran down the U-tube. The experiment was conducted continuously for a week and the liquid was analyzed. So see in this, the liquid, condensed liquid comes and collected in this jar, which consists of different types of amino acids such as glycine, alanine, beta-alanine and aspartic acid. Thus, Miller experiment had an insight as to the possibility of abiogenetic synthesis of large amount of variety of organic compounds in nature from a mixture of sample gases in which the only source of carbon was methane. Later, in similar experiments, formation of all types of amino acids and nitrogen bases were noticed.